All right, gentlemen, let's go ahead and jump right into this. On your anvils, you'll see a rusty piece of chainmail. Go ahead and lift that up. You will be using 1084 steel along with that chainmail drape to forge a Knights Templar Crusader dagger. Carried by medieval knights, these double-edged daggers featuring a cruciform guard were used as a second line of defense in combat to penetrate enemy armor. The blade parameters are as follows. Your Templar dagger must be between 13 and 15 inches in length, not including the tang. The overall length of your weapon must not exceed 22 inches.
This dagger has a double edge, so that's pretty much almost twice the work.
Good luck, Bladesmiths. Your 3-hour forge time starts now.
What am I gonna do with this thing?
I think that this wad of rusty chainmail has thrown most of these guys for a loop, for a whole series of interlocking loops.
Chainmail is just a bunch of little round rings. There's so much space, so much room for crud and crap to get caught in. I don't want them to be picking at it and saying, oh, this is a bad blade. Cold shut. It looks like hell. I want as clean a blade as I can have, and by incorporating it in the tang, even though it'll be covered up, it's there.
Whenever I look at how to do something, I dissect the objective from another angle that other people don't look at. An idea that might just work.
Richard's got powdered steel and flux.
It's like playing with flour. Except I'm not making bread or a cake.
Gonna pour water in it. Ay, ay, ay.
Oh, yeah, man. What's happening right now?
When you melt flux, it gets very, very sticky, right? He's making metal glue.
I've never seen this before in my life.
I'm making mud out of the chainmails, steel filings, mix them up with a little bit of water and borax in to help kind of make it settle in when you forge weld it. Hopefully it'll close up the gaps all good.
There's not enough mass in Brian's blade either.
Everybody's blade is looking very lean. The magic of the big blue hypnosis. Longer and longer and longer.
Okay. I don't know. How much time?
We've got a very wide billet with Richard.
I think he's in a much better situation to have the dagger that I expect to see.
I realized once I started drawing out the billet that I accidentally got it too thin in several places, and I opened up a couple of cold shuts. So I decided to fold the billet over to try to close it up.
Oh, wow. Ooh. What is he doing? Oh!
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Honestly, this is not a bad idea. No, I mean, look, if you got voids and welds that aren't holding, what he's doing is not the worst thing he could do. The problem is that there's going to be a lot of forge scale on that taco that he built up. He did no cleaning. So the question is whether that's going to weld up or not.
It's not going to be your traditional Crusader dagger.
So Josh, he's got a really aggressive, neat-looking dagger. It's just not as wide as I'd like to see it.
Got a good shape, got the chainmail in there, that's what's required. We gotta make sure it's in the parameters. Perfect. I'll go for the quench. Usually I'm used to just quenching the edge, and this blade has 2 edges. So how am I gonna quench both of these edges at the same time without getting the spine too hard? If the spine gets too hard during the testing, the blade could actually snap in 2, and that would be catastrophic. So I want to use this clay to keep the spine soft so the blade has some flexibility, and I want both edges hard.
There we go.
Josh is quenched. I think Brian is finished with his thermal cycling.
Oh, we got a quench coming?
I believe. Quench! Boo! Booyah!
David just quenched. Richard in the quench.
Got a quench blade?
90 seconds!
Get to the grinder.
Go, go, go!
Richard on his knees, praying to the grinder gods to get this done in the last 50 seconds.
Try to remove as much scale as I can so I can see where the cold shuts are, if they're there. Did they close? At least the judges can see if they're closed or open. That's the only chance I really got.
David, done. Brian, done. Blade on the anvil. Josh, still working. He's been at that grinder for a while. The blade looks clean. Meanwhile, we've got Richard grinding for all he's worth in the last 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, shut down your machines. This round is over.
That was entertaining.
There they go.
Later, guys.
Good luck. No, you're all right, man.
All right, gentlemen, we're gonna start with Brian's blade.
There's a lot of work to do here to turn this into a legit dagger. He's gonna have to really reprofile this whole thing. One side, and see how the virtual spine here is way over on one side. All that has to be moved over.
We had a length parameter of 13 to 15 inches.
Out comes the tape.
He's coming in at 14 and a half.
Great.
So he's got room to, clean up the shoulders and everything else.
And let's move on to Josh's blade.
He put the chainmail in one lump on the tang. Smart place to put it if you're not trying to make it pretty. Just makes sure that none of that mild steel is on the edge. Josh's grind is a little concave here, while at the same time it's pretty convex on the other side. I'd like to see these lines come in more towards the center and become a ridge.
Plunge grind right there is 13 and a half.
Great. Let's move on to David.
By far the closest to what we were asking for. This is a classic dagger shape. It's wide enough at the base to support chopping. Honestly, if he fullered the center of this, it'd be wicked looking. Right at 14 inches.
So let's go ahead and take a look at Richard's dagger.
It is extremely rough. He didn't have much time to do any grinding, so this is just knock some scale off so you see steel in there.
Every tool came out of the box and went into this, so I gotta give him props for that. It's very rough, very unfinished, and very long. That's over 16 inches. Wow.
Over an inch outside of the parameters. All right, let's go tell our smiths. Bladesmiths, our deliberation is complete. It's time for one of you to leave the forge. Richard, your blade is over our maximum length parameter, and therefore I have to ask you to surrender your blade and leave the forge.
I think I might have overdrawn it within the last 10, 12 minutes, maybe.
Thank you, Richard.
What is worse, being struck by lightning or coming in last in Forge and Fire? Being struck by lightning, obviously.
All right, gentlemen, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Today, you'll be making signature blades in your signature style from this. 1971 Mercury Cougar.
This thing's rusted out piece of junk. I'm really worried about making a quality blade out of this.
Good luck, Bladesmiths. Your 3 hours starts now.
Who's the first to check the air in the tires? That's about how much I know about cars.
Which metal would you go for, Jay?
With leaf spring, it's good 5160 spring steel. It's thick, it's almost in a bar stock form already.
You know that with a car, it's either springs or axles. In a car that old, both of them are probably shot. Screw it, leaf springs. We break up the groups of two.
So it looks like Josh and Gabe are working together to free up those leaf springs.
I do not use a lot of recycled steel. I like to use new steel so that I know that there's not going to be any issues. My design for the blade is a fighter Bowie hybrid chef's knife. My friends and family think my bladesmithing career is great, but my niece makes fun of me, says I'm too cheap to just buy a knife, so.
I've got a rough profile, so I'm going to the grinder because I've got to get a good edge profile on my blade.
I'm enjoying watching Randall. He hammered that blade down very thin, very, very good hammer work. He's actually putting a hollow grind in, which is a nice change of pace.
I'm not crazy about how he's doing it, but I'm glad he's doing it.
Why?
Well, I see these large sweeping motions as opposed to slowing down, being precise, so you can actually see what the grinder's doing to the surface.
Usually I grind very slowly, but in this contest, I can't really do that. I've just got to try to hog away as much metal as I can and hope that I don't make a mistake. The grinder is much more powerful than my own grinder, and I cut way too deep.
Oh, no.
My blade is now uneven, so that means I'm gonna have to cut off a lot of the shape of my knife just to get it even. So I'm going to be grinding some more, and some more, and some more, and I'm losing time.
Randall's gone to a flat flatten.
He's trying to fix the unevenness of that blade.
It's getting thinner and thinner. And
Yeah.
2 hours has elapsed. You have just 60 minutes remaining to finish your blades.
Thank you.
Dave's been on the grinder for a second, and his blade's really starting to take on a shape.
I can feel myself getting a little frustrated because the grind is not going as quickly as I would like. So I have to get a little more aggressive with the belts, even though I don't want to.
Uh-oh.
Dave, you all right?
Giving you the stink eye.
I have a resting bitch face, but I'm really not unpleasant.
What is with that weird hump on the back of that blade?
Josh ground a lot of shape into it. I just don't understand having an extreme sweep and a stabbing test.
Okay. I have 40 minutes left to play with this. I'm happy as a pig in a blanket. God, did I just actually say pig in a blanket? I'm pretty sure I just did. Oh, listen to that. Yes, yes, okay. I have a hardened blade.
I file test my blade several times because I'm paranoid about it being hard.
Oh, I like it, man. It's not as scimitar-y as yours is.
And Randall does not look happy. And his blade has gotten very, very thin.
I really don't like the shape of the blade. The edge geometry is a little off because of my grinding mistakes.
I'd like to see him quenched before there's not much of that blade left.
I'm always the most nervous getting ready for the quench.
Randall, man, I just don't know what he's shaking his head about at this point.
Well, he's thermal cycling the blade, obviously. He's just not happy with those grinds.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmith, shut down your machines, drop your tools. This round is over.
Well, that sucks.
It'll be fun, they said.
All right, judges, is there a bladesmith whose work in the first round puts him automatically into that second round?
Yeah.
Which one was that, do you think?
That would be Gabe's.
All right, let's move on to Dave.
As far as the forging goes, I think he did the minimum, and that tip is so rounded. It's not shaped for stabbing.
This doesn't even have bevels ground in. There's easily 1/8 of an inch, if not more here, that hasn't even been touched yet. So there's several issues.
All right, let's move on to Josh's blade.
This particular weapon is made to slash sideways or diagonally. It's not meant for stabbing. The spine is not in line with the force behind it, so that could be an issue. There is a warp here, significant enough to see it not even go flat on the table.
I really just want to hear what they're saying.
Let's move on to our last bladesmith, Randall.
This one kills me. It looked like a classic sax when he forged this out. Once he got on the grinder, it went from being a sax to being disappointing.
His plunge grinds are way off. And then the other big issue is his edge. It's thinner here than it is up here.
Yeah.
And I really don't think there's enough meat left to be able to fix that problem. It's too thin.
All right, judges. Doug, have you made your final decision?
Yes, I have.
Dave?
Yeah.
Jay?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go tell our smiths. Bladesmiths, the judges have completed their deliberation, and it's time for one of you to leave the forge. Randall, your blade did not make the cut.
Randall, your forging skills impressed all of us up here. You pretty much forged your blade into shape. But when you got to the grinder, it cost you so much material. And with grinders, there's no going back. Your edge is uneven, and the only way to fix that is by grinding even more. And there's just not enough material here to do that. And for that reason, we're letting you go.
Randall, Please surrender your blade.
I kind of knew this was coming. The mistakes I made during the challenge threw me to the bottom of the heap. It's a little disappointing, but gave it my best shot. Probably my best advice to the other bladesmiths, try to avoid making mistakes.